Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to this week's weekly market forecast with me, T.Mayne, and we're back at it again for another week of some preparation. Now in today's weekly market forecast guys, we're going to go through 4 different pairs: the DXY, Aussie CAD, Aussie Swiss franc and New Zealand dollar CAD. Getting started here guys, we are on the DXY on the daily chart, and to kick things off we're going to analyze the nature of this structure. So what we have here is markets coming down from the top, establishing some support, giving us some resistance. Obviously now we've highlighted this area as a nice important key resistance area. Markets have come down, given us some support there, given us a push to the upside, giving us another nice piece of resistance over there, obviously giving us a nice set of higher lows. And what we've then seen is the market giving us a sort of ascending structure towards this resistance area up here. So guys, looking at the nature of this structure, what we can now conclude is that we've obviously evolved structure accommodated for the new highs that we have here on the DXY, and what we can see is that we are stuck within some sort of an ascending structure. So we know that ascending structures normally break to the downside, and we can be expecting some higher time frame downside momentum. Now to go into what our most recent bias is, and obviously just taking into account nature of the structure here on a daily, what we can see is that this market is in some sort of an uptrend. So we are seeing us still being within this ascending structure over here, meaning that we are still within this higher time frame uptrend. And as well as if we look at the structure here on the daily, we have some support giving us resistance, new support, new resistance, new support, new resistance, new support. And then I guess now we see prices playing at this previous resistance area, obviously that is and still and can function as support. So we basically see prices kind of correcting around our important key support areas, but we will see that a lot more clearly when we go down onto the 4 hour. So guys, on the 4 hour here on the DXY, what we can see is this previous resistance area that we've highlighted in this area here. We see prices breaking above and obviously coming back to retest and respecting this previous resistance as support. Now what we can also conclude is that prices are in some sort of a sideways moving market, because we do have prices giving us resistance in this area, giving us support in this area, and ever since prices have given us this resistance and support, we've got equal highs up here, and we can see that prices are being corrective at this level of support, because we can see prices breaking, closing below our area of support, closing back above, closing below, closing back above. So we are clearly being corrective at our area of support in this area over here, at our lower structures over there. So giving us the indication that this market is moving more sideways than it is moving in any particular direction, neither up nor down. And what we can do is treat this market exactly like what it is. And because we are seeing ranging characteristics, we look for buying probabilities from the low of the range and selling probabilities from the high. So what does this mean for our bias over the course of next week on the DXY? Since we are at support guys, we're going to be waiting for prices to allow us to trade any bullish biased structures that might come here on the DXY, considering that prices are at support and we can be looking for prices to break above and retest and actually respect our support structures. We are going to be bullish bias, looking for what? Buying probabilities from the low of the range and then selling probabilities from the high of this range. So our conclusion guys over the course of next week will be, because we are at some higher time frame support structures over there, we will be shifting our bias and we'll be looking for some bullish continuation on the DXY, only for the purpose of the DXY completing our larger structure and giving us those selling probabilities from the high of our range. So guys, we're bullish bias from these support structures down here, and obviously we're going to wait to see prices come in and complete the 90% rule of this corrective structure that we have going down over here. Once we've completed the 90% rule of the structure, we will then obviously analyze our bias and see if price now warrants us to be higher time frame sell biased, where the price gives us a nice double top structure, or price even comes up to complete the third touch of this ascending structure, or whatever touch it is. Nonetheless, we will be sell biased once prices push to the top and clear these higher structures over here, guys. So short-term bullish bias over the course of next week for the DXY, and then long-term bearish bias, guys, that we will wait to see playing out in the future weeks. So guys, this is our DXY analysis. We'll move on to the next pair, which is our Aussie CAD. Getting into Aussie CAD, guys, we are on the 4-hour, and what we can observe about the nature of this 4-hour structure is that price is in some sort of a ranging structure. So if we look at this piece of price action here and just analyze the structures from the time price came in and gave us some nice key important support areas here, gave us some nice key resistance areas, what we then see are equal lows, equal highs, prices breaking below the structure, breaking back above this level, breaking back above this level of structure that we have over here. So obviously signifying to us that this resistance and this extreme support are housing some sort of a sideways moving market, and we are stuck within some sort of a range. Now what we can see, if we come to the most recent price action here, we'll observe the nature of this structure. So what we've observed, guys, from a higher time frame is resistance areas over here on our left hand side, and we do see prices pushing to the up nice and impulsively, breaking our resistance areas. After we've broken those structures, we've seen a nice descending structure coming into our support structures, and then obviously showing us momentum again. So we've seen this momentum coming in, breaking our resistance areas, as well as this descending structure that we've seen from a higher time frame. We've seen momentum pushing to the upside. Now what we're going to be doing here from a 4-hourly perspective on Aussie CAD, guys, is looking for that bullish continuation, because we've seen that nice momentum breaking our structure to the upside. What we will be waiting for over the course of next week is for structure to give us some sort of a nice corrective structure, either pulling into our previous support resistance structures that can function as support, or nonetheless, guys, even if we see our prices just giving us a nice beautiful setup, you know, those beautiful go-to setups that we look for, where we obviously just wait for something very simplistic from price, simplistic as waiting for price to violate these lower structures, break back above these lower structures, and then retest these lower structures. Regardless of what kind of a setup we get from this pair, from this point onwards, guys, we will be bullish bias on Aussie CAD, looking for some upside continuation. Hopefully prices will come down into this previous area of resistance and treat it as support, and that's where we will find our good risk to reward ratios and obviously those buying probabilities. So we will be looking to ride this trade all the way to the 90% rule of our structure. So if we do manage to find a trading opportunity here on Aussie CAD, guys, we will be looking to take our targets somewhere in and around these resistance areas over here. So guys, we will be looking for that minimum risk to reward ratio of 1:3, obviously waiting for prices to pull into our area where we will find that buying probabilities, and then obviously we coincide, we wait for the structure to give us that reason to buy, and we pull the trigger once we see the entry signal for that buy signal on Aussie CAD. So guys, bullish bias over the course of next week, waiting for prices to give us that bullish bias structure for us to enter Aussie CAD. We'll go on to the next pair, guys, that we're going to have a look at for today's weekly market analysis, and that will be Aussie Swiss franc. Guys, we're here on the 4-hour on Aussie Swiss franc, and we're looking at the structure here. So what we've concluded over the course of last week, including some of last week's analysis, just so that we can recap, we've concluded that we've seen some sort of a descending structure from Aussie Swiss franc from these areas over here. So we've concluded this is a descending structure, obviously 90% rule of this descending structure that was never really met. Nonetheless, prices are in this resistance area, a nice important resistance area that we see market did treat as support, broke below, then treated as resistance. So it's a nice beautiful swap area, obviously very sell sensitive area, and what we've been expecting from Aussie Swiss franc is for some bearish momentum from these resistance areas over here. Now obviously we can see that prices pushed to the upside, but how Friday closed Friday we saw momentum pushing back to the downside, completely undoing any bullish momentum that we've seen breaking our resistance areas over there. So what we will be waiting for, guys, over the course of next week, very quick and very simple buyers on our Aussie Swiss franc, is we will be waiting for prices on Aussie Swiss franc to give us some bearish bias structure. So now that we've seen some momentum to the downside, what we will be waiting for is for some corrective price action to the upside. Price action that allows us to find a bearish bias or bearish trading opportunity from these areas here to get into any sell side momentum. So whether we are able to find this risk entry or this reduced risk entry on Aussie Swiss franc, guys, we will be waiting for price action to give us some sell side momentum now that we've seen prices breaking and closing back below our important key high areas over there. So guys, over the course of next week, same as last week, guys, we will be still holding on to this bearish bias on Aussie Swiss franc, now just waiting for structure to give us a bearish biased structure that will allow us to find those trading opportunities and as well as that nice risk to reward ratio. So guys, that is our Aussie Swiss franc. We'll go on to the next pair that we're gonna have a look at for this week's weekly market analysis, and that will be New Zealand dollar CAD. So guys, we're on New Zealand dollar CAD on the 4 hour, and if we look at the structure here, we will still see similar structure as of last week. So what we can see here is prices obviously coming in from the top, giving us some lows, giving us some highs, giving us higher lows that we were highlighting for bullish bias price action over the course of last week, and then obviously prices gave us a nice set of equal highs. So what we can see by the nature of this structure is that we are caught in some sort of a sideways moving market below this resistance and obviously above this support structure over here. So what we can see if we just come into and zoom into the most recent price action that we have here on the 4 hour is we will notice something about the nature of this structure. So we see prices giving us lower structures, obviously pushing away, coming back to those lower structures over here, and we see prices reacting nice and impulsively, doing what? Breaking resistance areas towards our left hand side. So we've seen prices coming into some support structures over here and then breaking to the upside, giving us a sign of strength above previous resistance areas. So what we're looking for over the course of next week is for some bullish continuation from New Zealand dollar CAD. So if we see prices now beginning to give us that bullish biased setup that we are looking for to capitalize on some upward momentum, this is the exact structures that we will be waiting for New Zealand dollar CAD to give us to be able to find these trading opportunities. Guys, we will be bullish bias on New Zealand dollar CAD. Obviously, we've highlighted a nice important key area over here. So if we take a look at the structure on our left hand side, what we will see is prices being in a nice bullish trend, obviously stopping and taking a pause in this area and then resuming the trend. So what we're looking for is for prices to come back into this key area of previous resistance that can and might function as support, and this is our value area where we will be looking for those bullish continuation trades off. So what we're waiting for from our New Zealand dollar CAD, just to recap quickly and to give a nice quick simple forecast for this pair, is all we're waiting for, guys, is for prices to simply violate our lower structures in this key area over here. So what we're waiting for is for prices to break below these key areas. Once we've seen prices breaking below these key areas, all we're waiting for is for bullish bias price action from New Zealand dollar CAD for that upside continuation. So guys, very simple, nice bullish bias on New Zealand dollar CAD. All we need to do is just wait for structure to provide that entry signal at our point of interest, and once we see our entry criteria, we pull the trigger. Now guys, we have reached the end of this week's weekly market forecast. Hopefully you guys have received the value that has been intended for you in this video. If you have, guys, definitely drop this video a like. Let us know that we are spreading that valuable content that you guys are seriously finding value in. Otherwise, if it's your first time on the channel, or if you are a returning subscriber, because I know there's a lot of you guys that are returning subscribers but that just don't subscribe to the channel, guys, Don't let yourself miss out on the future videos. Be up to date, subscribe to the channel so that you catch it when it's relevant, which is as soon as possible. You don't want to find a weekly market forecast on a Thursday. You won't find the exact same value from this weekly market forecast at the same time if you find it when it's most relevant. So guys, coming to conclusion, this is T.Mayne, your FX Chasers mentor. We'll see you guys in the future videos. Thanks so much for watching until the end, guys. Have a great week. Cheers.